Trapped by the belief that I'm not good enough, bound by the limitations and the lies that consumed my world, this was me. It wasn't until I took the biggest leap in my life to know and trust the power within. And it was at that moment I made a choice. My past will not define me anymore. Hello, I am Teri, and I know I am not alone in this. Over the years, I have found that the number one mistake that we make is that we get in the way of our own success story. Yes, I said it. On this show, together we'll tackle limiting beliefs, self sabotage, getting stuck, fear, doubt, overwhelm, and the imposter syndrome. Join us on this journey designed to transport you beyond your limitations to a world where anything is possible. This is Talking with Teri. Hi, and welcome back to Talking with Teri, where we have transformational conversations to transform your life and your business. And I am so excited to have Tiffany Nguyen with us today. She's a spiritual coach. She combines her analytical brain with her intuitive tarot card reading skill and brings about an amazing approach to a transformational journey. So, Tiffany, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Teri.
So bring us up to speed. I was reading over your bio and I was just in awe of massive courage. So for the listeners, bring us up to speed on your personal journey, getting here, not only to the US, but what that journey has been for you, up to this point.
Yeah, so my journey doesn't have like a set start point, but it's more gradual. So it started like way, way back when I immigrated to the US alone. So when I was 16, I moved to the US alone, and it was a terrible experience. So it started with like a dark night of the soul experience,
Yeah.
and one of my greatest fears, loneliness. So when I was forced into that kind of situation, I had to be very isolated because I didn't know the language or the culture, and I became very isolated. So, but I did my best to kind of like avoid loneliness. So I also eventually I have like very unhealthy coping mechanism, basically just to pack my schedule to spend as much time with either in school, at work, or with other people, regardless of whether the relationship is healthy or not. And I kind of like don't want to look at any of my problem. I just like cope with it, and move on and move forward. And it took me into like a long time, like or more than a decade. So after I graduated university, I moved to Florida to pursue my doctorate degree, and I had a great like I had like a career prospect, and I was engaged at that time, and everything was going well, but I was just miserable. And it took like a very casual conversation with my best friend, and she would just mention that she wished she had a relationship like mine, and I was like, it wasn't that great. I don't know what you're talking about. and then and then I gloss over it. I'm like, I probably have cold feet, so don't worry about it. But that was one of those beautiful moments because my best friend at that time kind of understood me better than I did, and
Yeah.
she would just look at me and like, why? And I opened up and share, about my past, that I had a lot of bad relationship, and I just hated myself. I just didn't think I deserved any kind of happiness.
Mm. And I
So
think
yeah.
I think that's true for a lot of people. Like I go back to your story of being 16, moving to a completely different country, different culture, different not being able to speak the language. I mean, I don't even like traveling internationally by myself, like for a visit, let alone going into a whole different world being by yourself. I mean, talk about massive courage, massive overcoming. And I think, we can get into that place where, we can, like you said, like, make choices that maybe makes it easier, or maybe it's not the healthiest of choices, but we're just trying to survive and just trying to get by and
Yes.
trying to make
it's just a little bit easier, so just incredible.
Yeah, I love travel, so I guess that's one of the things that I move. I think when we do everything we survive, that at that time it doesn't matter what choice we make. It would just, as long as we like don't actively harm anybody, and
Right. Right.
most of the time we make choices that harm for us more. But it's just, like when we have like certain any kind of coping mechanism just to move on, just to for that survival period. But the afterward is terrible. The afterward, like even after I adapted to life in the US, so like let's say 4 years later that I fully adapted, I'm in school and working and everything, and that carry on, but I didn't know at that time. And eventually I just hated myself. And then I have a very long denial period. I would just say, check all the boxes, and trying to
Mhm.
get everything right as like overachiever. And but I didn't feel happy. I was just very miserable. And more miserable because I don't know why I'm not happy. So it was very confused. And I was
Yeah.
so not only I was not happy, I was guilty for not feeling happy. And it was just this vicious cycle of denial, cycle of denial and cycle of confusion. And it took
Well, I
great
feel like there's like
courage.
that. I feel like there's like this compounding effect, right? So you have this loneliness going on. You now are not trusting, liking, loving yourself or loving your situation or loving what's happening. And then this is now feeling that. I mean, it's just a compounding effect, and you can get into the hole pretty quickly in that place.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's definitely compounded. And after a while, I just lost who I was. Like I just didn't know who I was anymore. But I knew that I hated myself. I knew that everything, like every little bit of good thing, I have to work very hard and earn it. And it's not a good feeling. And it's take great courage to actually face it. And then like, okay, I actually hated myself. And
Yeah. And I
I
think,
had zero self-worth. That took a lot of courage just to face it.
yeah, I didn't say I have several clients that I work with, high achieving from the outside looking in. They look successful. They look, they're intriguing. They have an amazing personality. I mean, they're just these lovable beings, right? But inside is self-hate, like self-hate, so much self-hate. And I'm like, oh my heavens. And I understand kind of how that self-hate, starts, and it, again, it grows and festers, and it comes into something else. But like you said, like we lose ourselves in this process. We lose who we are. And like, I always go back to this, we're all these, we're an infinite being. We're this pure positive energy coming into this planet. And, we have these experiences outside ourselves that, really dictate, how we show up and how we experience life, and the feelings that we have towards ourselves. And so how, I mean, it took courage for you, but what was there a moment for you that started to shift, or was there, obviously life is on a continuum for sure, but like,
Yeah.
was there a moment where there was a little sparkle of light that helped you, start your journey?
Yeah, so that conversation with my best friend was like a catalyst. I didn't
Mm,
change that day, but she did open up, and that beautiful open up to show that she opened about her own past. So, and we both became very vulnerable to each other, and but I think that was a great catalyst because for once I feel like I wasn't such a terrible being, like this is more common than I think, and it
mhm.
happened to a lot of people. And even with circumstance, the difference, the feeling and the
Yeah.
same. And it's the one that changed the start of my journey was a few months later when I was like driving along and just like thinking about things. Um, I just have a thought that if I switch my place with my best friend, I would I ever consider her less? And no, I would never thought to consider less. That's like
Mm,
impossible. And so I realized I was too harsh for myself. So I make a
mm,
choice to actually forgive myself. And it would just kind of like, it's like almost separation of identity. It was like, okay, it was something that I did in the past. And
yeah,
that was not who I am anymore.
yeah,
And it's a great self-forgiveness. I think I tried it before, but it's more of like, okay, I forgive myself and I just move forward, but it's not really like forgiving.
yeah.
We're just like, it's just like the feeling is just festered out there.
Yeah, I
But I
think that
think,
process of self-forgiving
yeah,
is a profound and it can be a life-changing one. Because I
it
think sometimes just
definitely.
like really getting to the heart of, and like you said, like I love that you said, for the listeners that are listening, you know, the fact that you said, I switched my place with a friend that had, similar challenges. Would I judge her? Would I be any, would I see her in a different view? And the answer is no, of course. We are so much, we provide so much grace for other people than ourselves. And so I
Mhm.
think that that's a great way to flip the script, right? You
Yeah.
know, to really embrace, okay. And here's the thing, we are always on this journey. There are things that I have done in my past that I am not proud of. I wish it would have turned out differently. I wish I would have showed up differently. I wish I would have known what I know now and made it better. Like, but I feel like we are all on this continuum of this journey going through life. And I do believe that we are shown experiences, situations for this who we become, right? Because it's not this the stuff we happen that might have showed up in your life early on was not meant to serve you then. It's meant to serve you later, because as your journey goes through to become a spiritual coach, I'm guessing that this has been like gold nuggets all the way through in your coaching business, like, right?
Yeah, so it's great because I have like firsthand experience of what happening when you have zero self-worth and you put on a, a brave face and just go
Mhm.
forward. Um, so yeah, so it definitely helped, and so that's why I work with overachiever now. Like I work with high achiever and basically sensitive women or people, and mostly is starting with like I start with the thought patterns and the behavior pattern mostly in relationship, and then trace back to basically self love, to basically our
Yeah.
relationship with ourselves. And usually everything else is just messed up afterward when we don't have when we don't have that one thing right, when we just like don't have a correct view of ourselves.
Yeah.
It's not like we don't want to be like narcissistic there, like we're the great or special or too much, but it's also very damaging when we disregard ourselves and it just swallowed with uh, low self-worth and self-hatred, and that's also terrible, and it affects
Yeah.
every aspect of ourselves. It affects our career, it affects all of our other relationships, which is not good for our own well-being.
Yeah, agreed. Like I think that, like you said, like it swallows us up, right? It doesn't serve us in our greatest capacity. It doesn't serve us in what we're doing on this planet. And so it's very powerful to recognize, I always tell people, like, there's a place in which things serve us. And I truly believe that me coming from a place of victim standpoint, like, served me very well at some point in my life. And then it got to a point where it stopped serving me. And, you know, I think that's a key element and a key moment is recognizing it when it's serving us and then when it stopped. And so often we take a behavior or a thought pattern or a circumstance and it stopped serving us, but we're not necessarily aware of it. We're unconsciously unaware,
Mm-hmm.
and we take that forward with us. And then we start having all these like problems, and like it feels like life is out of control. It feels chaotic. We feel unbalanced. We feel out of touch, out of alignment. And so, that's when awareness for a lot of people kicks in and says something is not working. Something is not, supporting me at the highest, because life is a struggle. Like, this is a
Yeah.
struggle. And so, yeah, it's powerful. So you have overcome a tremendous amount. Where are you now? Where are you heading? Where are you? What's next for you?
So it's I'm not sure what next for me. I'm pretty open for the future, but currently I'm practicing as pharmacist, and I'm also a spiritual life coach. So I help others to reconnect with themselves, because it's so easy to lose who we are through a lot of our challenges. And I usually work with high achiever and sensitive, basically in touch with their emotion. Not necessarily mean like empath, but just in touch with their emotion people, and to start reconnecting with their true self. And I do that by, tracing their thought patterns. So
What do you find has been in your work, in your experience? Like, what do you, especially with high achievers, because I think we're just a whole other animal. Like, we're just this whole other like beast. I would consider myself in that bucket, right? What do you find in the clients that you've worked with? Like, what has been the kind of the biggest challenge or the biggest barrier that high achieving women face?
I think we were very stubborn, but most of the time, high achieving women are also very caring. And because of that, we were so determined to move forward. We tend to neglect a lot of ourselves until it became a habit. So it's hard to change a habit, but because we are high achieving, it's a little bit, I guess this happens pro and con, like because we have strong motivation to actually change ourselves, but also we easily get frustrated with our progress, because one of the like hallmark characteristic of high achieving is like, if we do, like ABC in this time, we're supposed to get XYZ in certain thing, because we have this kind of performance mindset. And spiritual healing journey is not like that. It doesn't have a set goal that, okay, you're gonna reach that in 3 months if you do this every day for like
you're gonna be
5 minutes or whatever.
Awakened at this moment. And
yeah. So
it is. I feel like it's that balance of mixing, like because like that high achieving, it's that masculine energy, it's that push energy, it's that get stuff done energy, and then mixing the femininity and the spirituality and the almost kind of the softness about it, self-love, and mixing those two is quite the art.
Yeah, it's definitely an art, and it's different for everyone. But the main theme of like high achieving is, like besides like the problem we have, like lack of self-love and a lot of self-hatred and a lot of stuff, but like the hallmark of working with them is just this performance mindset that, okay, I need to get this right and I need to do it, and then I will expect this kind of result, and that usually hinder the healing process, because we cannot rush the healing, but because we feel that's kind of pressurized of like, am I doing this right? I don't feel anything different. I mean, my life hasn't been transformed yet. It's 3 months already. Jesus Christ!
Come on, what's happening? I got things to do.
Exactly. Like, okay, I have like 3 months and I need to get enlightened right now, and things like that.
I am laughing because like this is so much the story of high achievers. I love it.
And also with women, like because I work through like I do by relationship, so I started with relationship pattern, and so I have a lot of like people with like wrong expectation, like, okay, so in 3 months I'll get inner peace, and then I also will attract my soulmate, right? So I will have like true love and everything is going perfect. And I was like, no, I'm pretty sure nobody can give you that. So we make life into this like singular timeline, and it would just, and then we can just pressure and push it like that. And it's really learning about how to let go and how to be more accepting of ourselves, and don't push it and don't pressure, and it just go against everything we've been practicing the whole life. We go against like a lot of our coping mechanism and a lot of our like survival instinct of just like not doing it and just like let it be. And
so going from
so
a human
yeah.
doer to a human beer, right? Like,
Yes.
let me ask you this, kind of based on what we've talked so far, like what is a tip, a tool, a strategy? And maybe that's about letting go. What is a tool that you highly recommend for folks to take on and practice, starting today?
So awareness is a big one of the essential element in my work. So I would always recommend people to have a mindfulness practice. If and one of the top recommendation is actually meditation. If they don't do meditate, then they need to find some mindfulness practice. Either a journal or either is a breathing exercise or yoga or like it have to be some kind of like training their mind to be more aware, because without awareness we cannot get anything done. You cannot be aware that okay, I am miserable, or okay, I am following this kind of old pattern that is not working for me and I'm falling back or whatever. So awareness is the start of everything, and it's have to be maintained. And so
I agree
have to
with
be
you.
your
I think that awareness is key to everything, because we can't, when we're working on ourselves, we can't tap into the unconscious and make that conscious without the awareness. And so awareness starts to shift, that piece of it. So I'm in full alignment with that. And so, and as Tiffany was saying, it's either through meditation, some form of mindfulness, and pick your choose. Some people are like, well, this doesn't work for me, that doesn't. Find the one that does work for you. I don't think there's any prescription of this has to be, but find the one that works. And if you haven't found it yet, it is out there. And
keep working for mindfulness.
Experiment, right? Like I come from this place of experimentation, right? Mindset of like, let's try it. Let's see if we can, if it works. If it doesn't work, great. Like if it works, and then we can also modify it, right? Like I think sometimes I have this silly 6-minute exercise that I do in the morning, and it is such a modification of, it's like kind of mod podge of things, but I'm like, it works for me. It makes sense for me. And other people may looks like I'm having a seizure, but it's really great for me, And so, give yourself permission to modify, and take what works and leave the rest. Right. So Tiffany, this has been fantastic and delightful. Where can people connect with you and follow you?
Yes. So I only have a website, spunkyspiritualist.com. That's where most people find me.
I love this. Spunky spiritualist. Oh, I love that. I love that. That's so much. That's like right up my alley. I love it.
Yeah, that's totally exemplified my personality, where like, do our wisdom, but I also have a cellar mouth when I like dropping F-bomb. And and I only have Facebook, so I don't have any other social media. So it's the same thing.
Perfect. Yeah. Okay, wonderful. Well, we will drop those down into the show notes. And thank you so much for, trusting that intuitive element about you and really following your true passion, your gifts in this planet to have a bigger impact. I think I say it on here a lot that we at this time require more people like yourself stepping into their power and stepping into it and being the light for the world. So thank you so much for the work that you do.
Thank you, Teri, for having me today.
Wonderful.
I am so grateful that you joined me for this episode. If you've enjoyed this, then there's just one thing that I would like you to do. Click to subscribe and leave me a rating and review. As my way to thank you, let's connect for a free consultation. Just reach out to me at talkingwithteri, that's TERI.com, to book your time.